A front-wheel drive hatchback has got a drift mode. Let's just see if the Clubsport can justify its nearly £3,000 premium over the base model. Hello and welcome back to the Volks Wizard channel. Now, it's been about a month since Volkswagen announced the pricing of the new 8.5 Golf GTI Clubsport and R models here in the UK. It's quite unusual for the order books to be open, but no driving impressions of these cars to have been forthcoming as yet. I gather there's a European event in September at some point, and there's a UK launch event in October as well. I haven't been invited as yet to either of them. It would be great if I could share my experience of the 8 Clubsport with you guys via review of the new model. So if you want me to do that, let me know in the comments. For now, I thought if you are like me and you're sitting on the fence undecided about ordering because you haven't seen the full review yet, it would be a good time now to look at the spec of these cars, what you can order, the options that make all the difference, the ones you can ignore, and I'll even share with you how I would spec these cars myself. This video will concentrate on the GTI models. The next video will look at the R, including the black edition, which, without looking too closely at the spec and pricing, looks like the pick of the range right now if you're going to go all in and pay the luxury car tax. We'll talk about that more in the next video. For now, let's just see if the Clubsport can justify its nearly £3,000 premium over the base model. Now the base model has got 20 horsepower more and the Clubsport stuck at the Mark 8's 300. Okay, so we're going to use Volkswagen UK's configurator to compare the base GTI with the Clubsport. Price difference is £2,755. That's quite a lot of cash. Is the Clubsport worth it? Well, with the old car, the difference was similar and I felt it was well worth it. I couldn't even look at the 245 GTI. Now, I'm not so sure because the GTI has now got 265 horsepower and also because the styling is closer now to the old Clubsport. It was a little bit too, I don't know, just wasn't aggressive enough at the front. Now I think it's just right. Maybe the Clubsport goes a little bit too far. I think the decals on the doors of the Clubsport now look a little bit dated. They look like an afterthought on the 8 and I'm disappointed they haven't done something better with the 8.5. The big spoiler, well, I can live without it, I think. What makes you want to buy the Clubsport? They've both got the 18-inch Richmond wheels as standard. You do get bigger brakes, which isn't mentioned on the configurator, and that is probably one of the biggest draws for the Clubsport for me. The 0 to 60 time is 5.6 for the Clubsport now. That's 0.2 of a second quicker than the old Clubsport S. DSG would be partly to do with that, but that's still really quick. 265 horsepower base model now, 5.9, which sounds a lot better than the old, I think, the 6.2. Now, on the configurator, they like to do like a model tree where they say this car's got all the other stuff plus this. With the Clubsport and the GTI, you can tell they're struggling a bit because there's some things it says the Clubsport's got that the base GTI hasn't got, but it's not true. It says front differential lock for the Clubsport, that's the VAQ diff. The 245 Mark 8 has that, the 265 8.5 has it as well. If you go into standard equipment, it's right there. It's not listed on the main page on the configurator, but it's in there. Then it says cornering light and poor weather light on the Clubsport, but on the highlighted spec of the base model, it says poor weather light, and then there's another entry lower down that says dynamic cornering light. And we know the base GTI has actually got those LED segment fog lights in the grills. Also, there's progressive steering. If you compare the two cars side by side on the configurator using the compare function, and then it brings up progressive steering. It says you can have it on the base GTI, but as a package. And then if you order one of the wheel upgrades, you get progressive steering. So I'm really confused about that. The real differences are that you get a different interior, you get a more aggressive front bumper, you get bigger brakes, which the configurator doesn't push much. Okay, let's start off then by having a look at the options on the base GTI. What makes life easier that we don't have a gearbox to choose? It's only the 7-speed DSG now, and that was the case with the Mark 8 for at least a year before production ceased. It did start off in 2020 with a manual gearbox option, but to be perfectly honest, I don't miss it. I think for a daily driver, the 7-speed DSG is hard to fault, and I think Volkswagen know that nearly every buyer would go for DSG. If you really want a manual Golf GTI, well, there's a back catalogue going back 47 years for you to choose one from. Okay, so what we can choose on the exterior is the paint and the wheels. So we have 8 different colours. So let's start at the top. New for the 8.5, and I think it's the only new colour apart from the black, which we'll talk about in a sec, is Crystal Ice Blue. Now this was first revealed on our line, I think, Estate in the press shots for the new model quite a long time ago now. I'm so glad it's made it onto the GTIs because it looks amazing. It's like a watery, silvery blue. There was one at GTI FanFest and it looked incredible. The other metallic is Dolphin Grey, which is just a classic dark grey. Looks good on any car, particularly a Golf. And then I think this is the new black. Don't know what the difference is. Grenadilla Black Metallic. So all those are £730. We have premium paint as well. So King's Red is a premium paint, not sure why, £885. And then we have Oryx White, which has been in the range since Mark 7, £1,220. It might be worth paying the premium for that to get the underside of the bonnet and the inner wings painted, because you do with Oryx White for some reason. Somebody said you also get that with the base white, but I haven't seen that myself yet. But that would probably be the colour I would go for myself, just to keep it under the luxury car tax. So Pure White, I think, is free. The other free colours is Urano Grey, which was the free colour on the Clubsport Mark 7 as well. It's funny how that lives on. And then for a non-metallic colour, you have to pay £435 for Moonstone Grey, which is carried over from the 8. Now, new for the 8.5 is that you can spend £505 extra and have the roof painted in black, and that applies to all of the 7 colours that are not already black. Weirdly, that is not available on the configurator for the Clubsport. It could just be a configurator glitch. You'd have thought if they're going to pick one of the two to have it available on, you'd think it would be the sportier, more aggressive model. But no. Okay, now let's have a look at the wheels. So there are 4 to choose from. Once again, as standard, we have the 18-inch Richmond wheels. We've got the Estorils carried over from the Mark 8 in diamond cut and black for £1,350. And we have a new wheel, which apparently is meant to have been inspired by the wheels on the Mark 5, but look more like an Alfa Romeo. The new Queenstown wheel at £1,270. That's actually £80 cheaper than the Estorils, and it will make your GTI look like a new model. The downside, although it's not really a downside, is that if you want them, you have to have dynamic chassis control as well. So if you see one for sale at a dealer that's been pre-ordered in, then in theory that car will have DCC and would make a really nice package. Okay, let's now have a look at the interior options. Well, there's not an awful lot here. There's no bucket seat option or anything like that. The good news is, though, heated seats and heated steering wheel are standard now. It was always a bit weird that you could warm your hands on the standard steering wheel on the Mark 8, but your passenger would have to freeze in the passenger seat. They fix that now. They've also put the GTI on the seats, which they should have done from the beginning, and they've upgraded the materials for the door card as well. So you have a leatherette armrest and an Alcantara inlay in the door. Looks a lot more expensive than the old sort of fabric we had on the early 8s. Also, I can't really tell from the configurator, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have piano black in the centre console. So there is a leather upholstery option that's over £2,000. We'll talk about that shortly. Okay, so into the options now then. Let's start off with comfort and convenience. The light and sight pack is standard, which is auto-dimming rear view mirror and the rain sensor. The winter pack, as I mentioned, is standard. The only option under comfort and convenience is the tilt and sliding panoramic sunroof, £1,220. I've always quite liked sunroofs, but the problems with the 7s and 7.5 ones put me off. This one's been redesigned, so there's nothing really to stop you from ordering that if that's what you want. And also you get a semi-black roof then as well. So actually, yeah, you could scrap the black roof, go for the sunroof, you'd only pay like £715 more. Okay, now on to driver's assistance. Adaptive chassis control, which they call DCC, because they've got into a bit of a mess because adaptive cruise control is ACC. Anyway, that's available as a standalone price, £720. It's also in here as in combination with 19-inch wheels, again, £720. But if you click that, it's going to say you need to add some wheels. Yep. And then adaptive cruise control, it's been standard on Golf since 2012, so it's standard again now. It's linked to traffic sign recognition, but as I said in my 8.5 review a few weeks ago, turn that off as soon as you get the car because it doesn't work very well on any car. The new thing, which I don't know why I'm so excited about, but area view, including rear view camera system. So back in the day, you'd spend 300-ish on the rear view camera. Now you get area view with all the cameras linked together, giving you the bird's eye view, which makes parking in a parking space so much easier. 325 quid. Driver assistance package, I'm afraid you have to have because it's standard. That gives you lane assist. Traffic jam assist, that's actually quite good. Emergency assist, that's if you sort of pass out with a wheel, it will take you to the side of the road, in theory, without having a crash. Proactive passenger protection system. That's basically pulls the seatbelt tight, I think, if it thinks you're going to have a crash. And then you can also have a tow bar if you're that way inclined. Folding trailer hitch with electric release, £765. Be weird to see that on a GTI, but it's possible. Head-up display, £580. Not my cup of tea, but you might like it. Park Assist Plus with park distance control. Well, all the cars have got front and rear parking sensors, so I can only assume for £210 you get the parallel parking automatically thing, which actually it's quite cool. There's another option here. It's a sports suspension for 19-inch alloy wheels, which I think would be what you get with the Estorils. It's going to say order something else. Yeah, order the Estorils. So yeah, don't worry about that. If you order the wheels, that comes with it. Onto the exterior options. Black styling pack with LED matrix headlights, £1,285. That sounds to me like a lot of money, and they've got that wrong, because that just changes a few things to black, which you probably don't want on a GTI because it'll make it look like a GTE or a GTD. God rest its soul. What I think they've done is they're saying that comes with the LED matrix headlights, but we already get LED matrix headlights as standard in the UK, so yeah, if that's wrong, Volkswagen, it should be about £285, not £1,285. In-car entertainment and communications. Well, the good news is there's only one navigation screen, one system called Discover, no Pro and all this and that. 12.9 inches as standard, no option to upgrade to the 15. You don't need it. You get the 15 on the Tiguan and the Passat as an option. The only thing you can spend a bit of money on is £600 for the Harman Kardon sound system, if that's what you want. Makes the interior look a little bit more premium. I'm sure it sounds a little bit better than the standard system as well. Right, even though it's not in the interior option, we have optional interior upholstery, £2,085, which gives you Vienna leather and memory function, but some of the functions are only on the driver's seat, which seems a bit cheap, really. So you get power seat adjustment with memory feature for the right seat. The left seat's just normal manual adjustment. Lumbar adjustment with power on the right front seat as well. And that's it, you get perforated inserts. I think on the 8, when it came out, that would give you the nicer door cards, but they just come with every car now, so there's even less of an incentive to do that. But yeah, they do look nice and they're probably super comfortable, but the standard seats are really good. Anyway, and that, I think, is the base GTI done, and it will show you the P11D price, which is the price that is relevant to the luxury car tax. Obviously, I'll be stuck with the standard 18-inch Richmond wheels, which I can sort out later. Would be a bit of a pain. It'd be nice to be able to spec them and have them from the factory. The good stroke bad news is that even if Volkswagen hadn't put the £500 on the price of the GTIs just recently, actually yesterday on the 4th of September, you still wouldn't be able to spec DCC and the Queenstown wheels and stayed below the luxury car tax. It would have been £155 over. Okay, let's go all in then with the luxury car tax and now have a look at the Clubsport. Okay, so just like with the base model, there's no gearbox to choose from. It's just 7-speed DSG. So let's move on to the exterior choices. We've got exactly the same colours, 8 of them. The only difference is you cannot choose the black roof. Don't ask me why, because they're going to go down the same production line, and you would have thought it'd be a nice way of making a bit of money, but it's not available here on the configurator. Anyway, the good news is we've got the full complement of wheels. In fact, we've got more of a choice than we had on the base GTI. So once again, the standard wheels are the 18-inch Richmonds, but as well as the new Queenstown wheels and Estorils, we've only got black Estorils though, we have got the new Warmer Now wheel. So this is a forged wheel. It's made by R GmbH, so it's R branded, which might look a bit weird on the GTI, but there we go. Warmer Now, by the way, is a little village to the east of Wolfsburg, and it's where Volkswagen R is based, along with Volkswagen Zubehör, the accessories department. I love the Warmer Now wheel. It's slightly BBS inspired. You can have it in black, but if you want to see all the beautiful detail, you need to go for the graphite and diamond cut version. And these, for a forged wheel, are not expensive. Might be to replace though, £1,190, which is actually cheaper than the Queenstown. Weird. And on the Clubsport, for some reason, it doesn't force you to have dynamic chassis control if you go for the Queenstown wheel. If you go for the Estorils, they're just £770. So, yeah. Okay, I mean, you're going to pay the luxury car tax either way, but there's no real excuse for ordering a Clubsport with those base wheels. If you can just pay $770 and have the Estorils in black, I mean, I'd actually consider having them done in a nice bright silver, because I think that would look better than either the black version or the diamond cut version. Okay, onto the interior now, and just like with the base GTI, the only option which isn't actually shown here is to upgrade the interior with a leather for just over £2,000. So we'll skip over that now and just go into the options. Starting with comfort and convenience, so light and sight pack, we covered that before, same sunroof as the base model. Winter pack is standard, that's heated seats for the front and the heated steering wheel. Winter package, weirdly not available on the base GTI. If you click on more details, this gives you the leather wrapped heated multifunction steering wheel. Might sound familiar, that, because you get that as standard on the base GTI, but it also gives you seat heater for front. Well, again, that comes on the base GTI. So really all it is the last bit and a rear seat separately controlled. So basically that's, as far as I can tell, heated rear seats to go with the leather. You can't have that with the cloth. So if you say add that, it says to you, by the way, we're going to charge you another £2,085 for the leather. So I'll politely decline that. And then let's move on to driver's assistance. So adaptive chassis control DCC 720, available as a standalone option if you want to keep the Richmonds. And then adaptive cruise control, that's standard. Area view, £325. Driver assistance pack, standard. Let's get these two out of the way and come back to this other one. So we've got head-up display 580, you know about that, and then Park Assist Plus with park distance control. I think that's a self-parking thing. And then we have, for a chunky £3,280, the GTI Performance Package. So it's possible to have a Mark 8.5 GTI Clubsport Performance Pack now, though I don't think many people are going to choose it because it's not as much as a no-brainer as it was with the 7 and 7.5s. So let's click on more details. What do you actually get? Well, you get the 19-inch wheels with black diamond cut. So if you want, interesting, if you want the S-Drills diamond cut, you can't spec them separately, you have to have them with this. That's about, let's say, 1,280 quid's worth, although the black ones are 700 quid, so let's call it £1,000. That leaves 2,200 for the raising of the speed limiter from 250 kilometers an hour, 155 to like 164 miles per hour. And it says driving modes drift and special with larger spoiler. So a front wheel drive hatchback has got a drift mode. That doesn't really make sense. The special mode we know is the Nürburgring mode, which I think came with dynamic chassis control on the 8 Clubsport, which I didn't have on my car because I was passive damper. It says larger spoiler. Oh, sorry, is that larger than the large one that's already on the Clubsport? Very odd. And then the bit you probably really want, although the standard system will sound really good anyway, because the base model does, is the R Performance Akrapovic exhaust system with rear muffler in titanium. I guess if you're going to buy the Warmanau wheels and spend just over £1,000 on those, you could spend £2,000 more and have the Akrapovic. It's just a shame they're linking the performance package with the Estoril wheels. You'd have thought they'd done that with the forged wheels. So yeah, a bit strange. If that is right or wrong, and you know for sure, let me know, because it just seems strange. Clubsport's got a drift mode. Okay, next up then, let's look at exterior. Black styling pack again. It doesn't make sense at 1,285 quid. Especially when we get LED matrix headlights as standard. Again, there's only one screen, the 12.9 inch is standard, but you can have Harman Kardon if you want to jazz up your interior and your audio. Leather, as before, £2,085. Safety and security, curtain and side airbags in front and rear, centre airbags. Okay, so how would I spec a Clubsport? Well, I do like King's Red now. I didn't 4 years ago, but tastes change. But I think because it's an old colour, I'd have to go for Crystal Ice Blue. I like silvers and it's just a more modern take on silver. I'd go for the Warmanau graphite and diamond cut wheels because I just think black wheels just are not very flattering. I think they're going to be out of fashion very soon as well. I'd go for dynamic chassis control because 720 quid, it's a bargain. To your surprise, maybe, I would go for the sunroof. I had that on the Mark 8. I drove around in Germany in August, and it was just nice having the option to have it open or tilted or have the blind back, but the roof shut. So I think for the money, it's good. It also gives you the black roof at the front, which looks really good, and you can't have it any other way on the Clubsport. And I'd have area view because it's a really cool parking system for just the price of a rear view camera. I'd also go for the Harman Kardon sound system at £600 because as well as giving you better audio, it also makes the cabin look that little bit more premium thanks to the Harman Kardon tweeters in the A-pillar. That does have quite an impact on the price. So it's up to £46,940. And I compare that with my Mark 8 Clubsport, which I paid £32,000 brand new for. We're going to be at least 10 grand higher for this car because of price increases and the spec. And that's a lot of money, but it's still cheaper than the Honda Civic Type R, which dynamically is probably a little bit better than the Golf, but it's just not as good an all-rounder. For a start, you have to have a red interior, whichever colour you have on the outside, which with the blue looks terrible. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but that is a lot of car. And I know it hasn't gone up in power from the old one, but that was a really quick car. Anyway, but the question is, if you're going to spend that much money, would you be better off buying the Golf R or the Golf R Black Edition, which is new to the range for the 8.5? We'll find out in the next video. But for now, thanks for watching this Volkswagen video. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, and I'll see you for the next one very soon.